Just 28 days now to go until the Women's World Cup kicks off. There is a lot of expectation around the defending champions at the United States. Vlatko Andonovski is expected to drop the roster later on today. We're going to have the full reaction for you later on Box to Box. But Jenny joins us now to discuss who we could expect to see on there. Jenny, who do you want to see on there that you think is kind of on the border right now?
For that, I think Lynn Williams, for me, is an absolute, has to be on this roster, but she wasn't necessarily beforehand when we had players like Mal Swanson doing so well before her injury. I think she has to be in. I know you talked about loving her, Alexis. She has to be on this roster for sure, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, loving the way she plays, by the way. She's engaged and I'm married. But yes, I think it's absolutely important to have someone, especially who's on form. And can you think of a striker who's as much on form that is also on the fringe? I think she belongs in there.
She's very versatile.
She is very, and she has 4 goals shy of the NWSL all-time goals record. She's only behind Sam Kerr. I mean, she has had an absolute resurrection this season. She was pretty unhappy with being traded like last second and having a difficult situation, but then she's made the best of it at Gotham, absolutely shining in every way possible.
Where she's improved, I think the most is her composure in front of the goal. You saw early on, coming back from injury, rushing. She's slowed it down, and she's got the pace, obviously, stretching from half field to the end line. I don't think anyone can keep up with her when she opens up her stride. But now, right in front of goal, she's calmed down, she's composed, and that's why she's been so clinical.
This could be her first World Cup if she is called up. How about Savannah De Mello? Because she's a player that's been called into a few camps, but she's got no caps for the national team. So it's crazy to think that she could be included, and the first cap she could get could be at a World Cup. But does she deserve to be there?
I think so. I mean, I think these two brought it.
Think so?
Okay, hold on.
Let her
these
cook.
two brought. Yeah, let me go. These two brought her up many weeks. Every time saying that you got to keep an eye on her. You got to keep an eye on her. And many have been arguing for Vlatko Andonovski to get her on this team. And I think that recently she has proved more and more that she has to be on that roster. She scored in 3 of her last 4 matches, and she's so strong defensively as well. She has 8 goals across all competitions this season. I mean, she really has solidified her spot as someone that needs to be on the plane to Australia, or I guess New Zealand. Their group stage is in New Zealand, sorry.
What's always stood out to me in watching her play is she's 2 ways. So one, dribbling out of midfield, she can create for her teammates, for herself. She has the ability to take people on 1v1, super successful, taking on 94% of her one-on-ones she gets by her opponent, which is incredible. But defensively, tackles, blocking shots. She's all over the field. And if you're looking at the U.S. midfield, you need some depth pieces. There's been some key injuries. I mean, Samantha Mewis not being able to recover. You just felt like, and then Rose Lavelle has kind of been in and out just with injuries. You need someone who can come in and do that.
No doubt she's on fantastic form, but from a player's perspective, or maybe from a manager's perspective, is it a risk to take someone that's got no international caps? Yes, they've been with the camp, but does it feel like an opportunity missed in the last couple, that she could have got minutes and she could have maybe got adjusted to the team? Because that's a big ask to throw somebody in with a team in such a high-stakes competition.
Charlie has said something, though, that I think sort of it puts an asterisk on what you're saying, which is how versatile she is. Probably not going to be a starter, but off the bench, she can pretty much cover a couple of positions, especially in dire needs, 20 minutes left in a match. She's just that good defensively and offensively, where if you need a Swiss Army knife, this is one of those names that immediately gets on that list for me.
And she's got 4 yellow cards this season. It just shows that she's not,
she can get
she's
into
not
tackles.
afraid.
Yeah, she gets stuck in.
She gets stuck in, exactly.
In.
And that's why I think I've loved her, is her passion on the pitch. It shows, and we saw some of the goals. She can strike from distance. She makes good contact with the ball, and she's also a facilitator. So watching her play, I'm like, I can't see her being left off this roster. So if
and she
she's
has
on
made
it,
Louisville so much better.
Absolutely.
You know, so much better throughout the season. You can tell the improvement is she is the basis of all of that. You know, the creation and the defensive.
Yes.
Strength.
Everyone knows what that means, bro. You got it.
Defensive prowess.
Yes.
Sorry, you know that she has. It is contagious to everybody else on the field. So you can see how much she's helped that team. But lastly, I just want to mention Naomi Girma. I know that she is an absolute must on this team, but I just want to mention how much more important she will be because of Becky Sauerbrun's injury and her pulling out of this team. I personally think that she will make a great captain for the U.S. women's national team one day. She captained the U20s team. And she hasn't been the captain for the full team yet. I know that's a big jump, but she has the qualities that are needed for that. You know, she was on the Stanford team and won so much with them. But the fact that she's captain on the national team level before, even if it's a U20, they see those characteristics in her. And you can see them from the outside. A center back that can see the entire field. She's very calm and composed. I definitely see her for a long time being a captain for the U.S. With Becky out, who takes the armband now is a question, but Naomi Girma has to be an incredibly important part of this roster, especially with her out.
I think last season when we were in Mexico for the CONCACAF W Championship, she was one of the players that stood out to me the most, just because of how young she was and, you know, coming into the NWSL, how well she adapted then, and then how well she adapted to the US women's national team. So it felt like obviously a massive blow with Becky Sauerbrunn being out, but to have someone like Naomi Girma, who would have been challenging for her spot anyway, Chuck, feels like her role is going to be of massive importance.
Becky Sauerbrunn is a very difficult loss for this U.S. women's national team, just because not only her leadership, but her ability to read the game. She's very good at putting out fires before they happen. And so when you lose someone who can see the field so well and is playing 2-3 steps ahead, it's hard to find someone to do that. But if there is one young player that you're going to look forward to, it's Naomi Girma. And in terms of the captain's armband, are you giving it to a Alex Morgan or are you giving it to a Crystal Dunn? Because I feel like those are the next two to get the armband.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to pass on your question at the moment.
Okay. You'd have to say Alex Morgan, but you know, who's the person you look to in a huddle?
But actually who is leading the team? And it's not a knock on Alex Morgan. It is the fact that from behind the ball, you see more of the field and you can direct a little bit more than from the striker position.